I hope you're having a good day. You're joining Esther from Stampin' Star Creations. Now, a while back I used this stamp set, Butterfly Gala, and used these stamps to create a daffodil, and used this other stamp here to create the leaves of the daffodil. So if you want to actually see that process in that video, I'll try and remember to link it below. So after playing around with it, I found it tricky to get the position of the daffodils. So I decided I would get out the matching punch from Stampin' Up. So this normally would cut out your butterfly. I've cut out a strip of Daffodil Delight paper, and I'm just cutting the top half of the butterfly wings. So you need 3 wings in total because we're going to cut these down. So I'm actually grouping these together and cutting them in half just to save a bit of time, and cutting off those ends that I've caught on the punch. So lay these down so they all face the same direction because you want the petals to go in the same direction. And using my ball tool or the embossing tool from the Pick Me Up tool, I'm rolling it around and just breaking up the fibres in that cardstock so it creates more of a shape and gives it a more petal-like appearance. I've punched out a 1/2-inch circle and put some multi-purpose liquid glue onto my circle, and just trying to place these petals down and position them where I want them to go. It is a little bit fiddly doing it like this, but it does mean that you can move them around before they glue fast. As you can see, I'm just manipulating the petals to sit where I want them to go. Next, I'm bringing in some Grapefruit Grove cardstock, and this time cutting the bottom half of the butterfly. And I think I used 2 lots of butterfly for this, 4 pieces in total after I cut. Oh, I've got 6 in this video. Okay. Using 3, I do think I used 4, sorry to confuse you, and this just creates the fluted shape inside the daffodil. As you can see, I chopped these down, just chopped off the edges. Yes, I do use 4, I'm sorry to complicate you. And then again using the 1/2-inch circle, using the punch to cut out that shape, and using the same process with the multi-purpose liquid glue and laying that down. The ball tool really helps to be able to shape the cardstock. Give that a chance to glue before you can press it down together and manipulate the shape. Next, I get in the leaf punch. The sprig punch, because I wanted to create some stamen for inside the trumpet of the daffodil. So I'm just using that left side of the punch to cut out a few of these shapes. Now, I thought, how on earth am I going to glue these in? So I just use the ends of my tweezers to bend the bottom half so that it's got some surface to stick to the glue. To be honest, I don't know if this was worth it. I wouldn't probably bother with the faff in future because, yeah, it looks a bit gluey in the end. Next, in order to create some leaf shapes, I'm using the medium-sized daisy punch and cutting out 2 of those petals to create some sort of leaf shapes in the background. So I decided just to trim down a piece of card to 2 inches by 3 inches, I think it is, and I decided I was going to turn this into a tag. Because it's a 3D item, I didn't want it to get squashed in an envelope, so I decided to use it as a tag. So I'm using my trio tag punch to round off the corners and to punch the middle out. I missed the middle, so I go back in and punch a couple more times just to elongate where that tag hole is. Using Itty Bitty Birthdays and the word Happy Days and real red ink to stamp my sentiment onto my tag. Then going in with Granny Apple Green to match my leaves that I cut out earlier, and then just switching around the stamp so it has a curve on it from the waterfront stamp set. And just adding in those paper leaves, it just helps to give it some more texture. So I've got here a piece of scrap ribbon that I've saved, which I know is a Stampin' Up piece, which is now retired, but I had it in my stash, and I wanted to incorporate a bit more red for my St David's Day card and matching tag. As I'd run out of that ribbon, I'm just using some of our thicker twine to add to the tag to turn it into the finished product. So I've used the sprig punch, the duet butterfly punch, now is that the large daisy or the medium daisy, and the 1/2 inch punch. I think it was the medium one I used to complete my tag. So I go ahead and actually fill in with this little element in the middle. There was too much glue showing, and I used one of those elements to put in the middle, and this is the card that I ended up making with one of those images. I added some very Versailles stamping, and I mounted that up using the embossing folder behind, inking it first and then running it through the embossing. Now with the bit that I actually punched out of the embossing, I've used that to create another card, so to take away the bulk, and this is what I made from it. I made another scrap card. So you can cut out the centres of your card, it cuts out the bulk, and it means that you've got a piece to play with later. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it's helped you, give you inspiration to make your own. I hope you have a good day. Subscribe to my channel.